Theme song for the good podcast. Uncle Leon, how you going, buddy?
Bloody awesome, mate. It's getting to that time of year, isn't it, Troy? You're feeling festive?
Best day of my life.
It's just every day's the best day of your life. One-upping yourself every day.
Yep.
Every day is a new day.
Back in the scrunchies now. Finally found a bunch of them.
So there you go. Nice. That's awesome. Would you say, Troy, that every day is a new day? You're grateful for every breath you take?
Yes, I would say that. I have not.
Do you feel alive?
For the very first time. I don't think I could fly.
Da 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 da.
Do you remember
that music?
P.O.D?
Do you remember the music video for that one?
Yeah.
It was like surfing and a car crash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember being in, must have been like Indonesian class, year 10, and I pulled out someone gave me like a Sonic the Hedgehog like disc. It was for some game system. I don't remember what it was. But it might have been like something weird, like Sonic on Xbox or something. I pulled this disc out, and this girl from like 3 tables over saw the disc and was like, "Oh, is that the P.O.D CD?" It's like, "No, this is Sonic the Hedgehog. What are you talking about?" It's like I was like thinking at the time, like, I don't listen to lame music like P.O.D. I listen to Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, P.O.M.
Also, yeah, which I have unironically been listening to again like a week ago because I was like, oh man, I used to smash this album in 2000.
So who was in Puddle of Mud? That wasn't Wes Scantlin, was it?
No, that was Puddle of... Oh, sorry, yeah, that was Puddle of Mud.
Yeah, and guitar player from P.O.D, Marcus Curiel.
Or is it? I don't
know. Yeah. Like, when I think of Rectos, P.O.D is one band that I think of as like, yeah, that's the sound. Like, that's the Recto sound, just like drop D, jug.
I don't remember listening to them that much. Like, even post everything, you know, like getting into like that sort of rock music.
There was definitely a moment where, there was definitely a moment we listened to them, and they were good. You know, I was like, you know, that was a moment when I was like, they're not a rock band. They're trying to do hip hop with like rock instrumentation rather than the other way around. Again, tying back into our rap rock discussion. That's just really the actual theme of this podcast, the new metal podcast.
It's not a rock band. Be sick.
Yeah, I mean, we're both great rappers, so you know.
In all seriousness, don't do it, Leon. But I got to tell everybody listening, if you get Leon on the right day, he will rap for you, and it will be amazing. I've just seen him freestyle. Like, we used to sit around at the studio like 4 o'clock in the morning, and after like a big night of eating Chinese food, and and that's not like a euphemism. We're just eating Chinese food and hanging out, and then Leon's just like in a mood, and he just starts rapping about something. It's amazing. I wish I had some of it recorded, but
it's Aussie hip hop, really. That's what it is. It's Aussie hip hop. So if you like your Hilltop Hoods, hit me up. I'm available for sessions as a guest MC. Mate, you wanted to tie up a loose end from the last pod on noise and the saga of noise. So
yeah,
I feel like around the time I uploaded that podcast to the podcast host, I got a message from you when you were like, I think I got it. So what was it?
It's a lot of things. I think I also found that some of my rant was in regards to, why is it less noisy here and it doesn't sound the same there? There's a dodgy cable. Like one. As in one of the, I haven't isolated this down further, but I absolutely have one cable that doesn't work properly. It's one of the Megami Neutrik cables that I made a few weeks ago, and clearly cooked it. I don't know if it's a dry solder joint or whatever, but it's just, it passes signal, but it seems to be quieter than the others. I don't know how or why that happens, but it is. It's something about it's real janky. So I eliminated that, and then things were not quite as bad. So yeah, bad testing situations, just assuming things are okay when they're not. I did go through a massive few days or few hours and a few days of running this amp really loud and trying to get noise and stuff to work. And I had some success and I had some not success, because I also have this other pedal board that I was building for someone that had a bit of weird noise and oscillation and high frequency weird stuff.
Right.
That one I fixed by actually the solution that I used, something that I tried on my guitar rig, which is that I got a reading, as I do, and I went and bought some isolation transformers from, I bought have I got it on the desk here? I bought the EbTech or the Morley hum eliminator.
Yes.
Where is it? Oh, it's over there somewhere. So I bought one of those, and I bought an ART one as well because it was a bit cheaper. And I thought I'll just A/B them and see how they sound, or if there is a sonic difference. But that did remove some noise in certain parts of the signal, but it was weird. For some reason, putting it in line between like the amp switcher and the amp, like it didn't pass signal. I'm not really certain why that was.
Interesting.
But yeah, there was some weird stuff there. But aside from that, the pedal board that I built and then also had a bit of weird noise, the weird high frequency oscillations and all that sort of stuff, that disappeared by putting the isolation transformer in line. So
there you go.
I had the board. It's got some real cool drive pedals on it, and then a HX stomp on it. And I just I pulled every pedal out, cable out one at a time to try and find out what was going on. And it turned out the line 6 was causing the issues. And I tried a lot of different stuff, and thankfully I had the hum eliminator there. And I just plugged him in, and all of a sudden that problem disappeared. So the reason I thought of that is it was either Jason's live stream, Headfirst Jason, or it was on a Tone Talk, or both of them.
Yep.
Definitely Dave Friedman was involved. But there was a discussion about the HX Stomp / the HX effects and how the outputs on them are like just kind of people. I think it was partly in relation to people running it 4-cable method, and there just being like a lot of ground loops and a lot of weird stuff happening. So yeah, I tried the isolation transformer worked, so that's awesome. I ended up ordering a Palmer one for this particular board because it's a bit small. Like the hum eliminator is like a stereo one, but it's like top mounted jacks, which is okay. Like I could get it under the board, but the Palmer one's like a bit more like this size. This is my logo for everyone that can't see. So I think that'll work a little bit better. So hopefully that solves the problem. But interesting, like noise. What an Odyssey. I wish I had more time to really go down every conceivable rabbit hole, but I just haven't.
You can see why people pay the big bucks to have Friedman or LA Sound Design or, someone build their rig, because you just plug in and then it's done.
Yeah, it doesn't.
They deal with this.
All this stuff doesn't feel like it should be that difficult, but like every piece of gear's got its own quirk. Like, do you remember we were talking to Torin ages ago? He was talking about or maybe it was just to me, I can't remember, but he was talking about how of his guitar preamps, like one of them has an unbuffered or a buffered like output on it. There's something weird, or like it feeds directly off a tube or something. But I think it didn't have a buffer on it. Yeah, that was a problem. But what that meant was like plugging into certain power amps meant it didn't sound right. So he had to and there was like a few situations that he found where one piece of gear doesn't have the one thing on it, and therefore it causes some issues. And yeah, man, like that's the thing. Like your Dave Freeman's, when you've got the like encyclopedic knowledge in your brain to pull out like, oh, it's that version of that pedal. Well, these things didn't have this thing in it, and therefore you need to do this to solve it. You can't like go to school for that, and you can't even you can read some forum posts, but it just takes significant time, like trying stuff out and encountering weird problems. Like
you just need to suffer through it.
Yeah, man. Like I put this board together with the knowledge that I had that it should have been completely fine, and it wasn't. I put this rack together with the knowledge that I've had in the past, and everything should be hunky-dory and have issues. And then, it takes you a day to solve the problem, and then hopefully it's stored in your brain forever and ever. But yeah.
And you pull it out those 2 or 3 times over the next 6 decades that you need it.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm probably, because we're getting close to Christmas now, which we'll talk about our topic for today in a second. But once I finish up a couple of singles and get through a bit of work, I'm going to take Christmas to New Year's off. I'm not going to come in. And then the first week of Jan and maybe a little bit after that, hopefully I'll have some time in the studio to myself. I might rejigger a few things around and rewire some stuff. And yeah, start 2024, new studio, new me.
And you'll feel alive.
For the very first time. Anyway, enough about me, Uncle Leon. How you feeling, mate? What's been happening?
Good, mate. It's, warm weather, going for swims, going to the gym, practicing, winding up most of my teaching for the year. I've still got a few online students and stuff like that. But yeah, can't complain. It's getting to that festive time of the year, isn't it?
Sure is. You're going to come around on Christmas Eve, mate?
Watch bloody oath.
Man,
why would I not?
Christmas movies. It's been so bad. We watched this one called... man, what was it called? It had Emma Roberts in it.
Is this just the like you're going through that generic Hallmark trash on Netflix or whatever it is?
Trying to anything possible, just romantic comedies. Everyone's got a dead dad or a dead mum or something.
Yeah.
Like every character, in every movie, and that's something that they're trying to come to terms with is the fact they've got this dead parent, and that's meant so much to them with Christmas, etc. So yeah, I think we've watched 5 in the last week.
Right.
We're trying to do one a night after the kids go to bed. Cause man, I can like put that on and then just jump on the phone and look at, whatever. Like I can look at buffers, for example, or I can look at isolation transformers, and I don't feel like I'm missing something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's good.
We watched Bad Santa because Speth had never seen it, and I hadn't seen it since I was about 15. Yeah, it's a movie for boys, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. There's some there's some bits.
The one thing I remember most about that movie was Lauren Graham from Gilmore, obviously. But I remember I used to stay up really late and watch Letterman on TV.
Oh, yeah.
This is like when I was in high school. And it was on weekends too. Like Fridays and Saturdays, I was allowed to stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning, which is when those things were on. And Lauren Graham was like the guest one night. But I just have this really vivid memory of, they come out. It's like they announce person, Lauren Graham. And then they do the little walk out the thing, and then they come onto the stage and, hello. She just had the most sour face, the most like, I don't want to be here face, like no emotion, no feeling, and then stepped into the lights, and it was just, like personality and charisma, like coming out the wahoo. It was so weird, but this changed, like it was just immediate. Like she clearly didn't know you could see her face. So that's what I think of with Bad Santa. Because
she was just psyching herself up.
She's just psyching herself up, yeah. But anyway. Hey, do you like these new racks behind me, by the way? I've got...
they look bloody great, mate.
Yeah, so I've got 10 heads in these racks now, which is pretty cool. I've got to rewire the... the second one isn't all set up yet, but I'll get to that hopefully over Christmas. Going to order some cable. You want to buy some Megami, mate?
Oh, I don't know. Do I? We'll let the listeners and viewers decide. Yep. I'm pretty good for cables at the moment. Like,
Nah.
Yeah, no, you never are, though, are you?
No, I'll probably just order 50 meters or something of it.
Yeah.
I'm tempted to order 100 and then just have cable for the next couple of years for whenever I need it, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, mate. Enough about me.
Yeah, no, let's talk about the best gear of the year that we tried. And with that, a theme change. Yeah, you like this? You like this, mate?
If you're not watching on YouTube, you got to get on this.
Let's do a blast through... I want to kind of settle on maybe 5 things each, top 10-ish, more a cracked list than a BuzzFeed list, but, may cracked rest in peace. But
then we'll fire ourselves.
Yeah, I had a massive look through stuff I reviewed this year, and it's colossal and gigantic. And there's some stuff that I thought came out a few years ago that came out in March this year, and I was like, okay, so this is going to be quite difficult to nail down. But, we can talk about stuff that's new to us and then stuff that was sort of new. So maybe let's do the new to us. Give me, one guitar, one amp, microphone, plug-in, and pedal that you got this year. It can be anything that you were just psyched about.
All right, well, let's start with the amp because I think it was the first thing I bought this year. Oh, yeah, okay. We'll start with the amp, which is my Synergy Syn 30, which I think you can see. It's right behind my ear there. So that was that one right there. Oh my God, I can't do that. That one right there.
There you go.
Synergy Syn 30 with a Bogner Ecstasy preamp, and very excited to get that because end of last year, I was going through a bit of a thing, a power amp thing, because I tried a bunch of different power amps that I had available to me in a Marshall valve state thing, some old ADA power amps, and things. And it was funny because I tried the Synergy. I liked that. I liked the Syn 1, and I'd like the Deliverance and stuff, but it didn't. I don't know. It was cool. It was just cool. And anyway, I tried it through a little Marshall DSL 40 combo that was just in the studio. And I was like, man, plugged into the effects return of that, it sounded like $1 million. And that amp, unfortunately, because of I think it's got a parallel effects loop instead of a series, so you can't do the thing, the extra channel with that amp, which is a shame. But anyway, it just got me thinking about power amps and getting slightly more portable situations to use for gigs. Because, I've been going direct for a while. Direct is cool. it's just some of the smaller gigs, it actually would be easier to have some like fold back on stage with the band as well as like
yeah,
in the room. So anyway, I've been in amp territory, and yeah, the Synergy Syn 30 kind of gave me everything I needed. So it's obviously a slot for a module, which will be 2 channels, has a clean channel on it. It's relatively small, 30 watts, really good. So yeah, I think I got that in January, and I've done quite a few gigs with it. I've done quite a few sessions with it, and probably maybe up until about 3 or 4 months ago, I was playing it just in the studio a lot because it sounds great. And I was actually using it even just for the clean sound, like the clean channel in it. I think is really not very exciting, but it's really usable. So yeah, I like that thing a lot.
And are you mostly using the Deliverance module with it for gigs?
Yeah, I think I tried the Bogner and that was okay. It just wasn't quite like this. I guess like the sort of gigs that I need to do with it, they're not. There's just too much gain in the Bogner, basically, to give me the tone that I need or that I want for it. I need something that's going to cover, like, low gain to overdrive, and Bogner is a bit too searing, like the high gain channel on it. Even like swapping to, I don't know, like I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but like if you've got a 3-channel head, so channel 1 is your clean, channel 2 is your like, rhythm sound, channel 3 is your lead sound. I kind of don't like the channel 3 being like a different thing. It always feels like the jump between like the 2 and 3 is too vast, and I get this like, and particularly if I'm doing like a clean sort of thing and then I go to my channel 3 with like shitloads of gain on it, the balance of the tone just feels really off. So yeah, anyway, the Bogner to me was like a bit too gainy for the gigs I needed to do. The Deliverance, I could dial it in a little bit more matched because I think the 2 channels are just identical basically, so that worked really well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of amps with 3 channels and multi things, I'll throw the Soldano Astro in there, which only just came out, but I've had it here for a little while now, and yeah, it's I guess kind of like the Syn 30 in that the clean channel's basic. It's got a tone control on it though, which is good, and a bright switch. So the clean's really good, and then you've got 2 channels, and you can assign one of 3 gain modes to each channel. So it's like shared EQ, but then each channel has its own gain and volume. Right. So you could set it up so it's like clean channel on one, and then, use the purple mode on both of channel 2 and 3 and just literally change the amount of gain and volume. So it's sort of like you could have it the same character if you wanted to, just one's louder with more gain. So I like that. And it's got, it's got a power amp sim and IRs in it, so you can just go DI out from it. Yep. It's small, it's light, it's pretty sick.
Is it 20 or 30 watts?
20 watts.
Yeah, it looks really good, man. I'd like to try it.
It'd be interesting to put it
in Australia.
So the list price, I think, in the US is $2,000 US, and for reference,
here, right.
Yeah. So for reference, an SLO 30 is $3,000, I think. So, it's proper money, but also compared to you getting a Soldano that is giggable. I know some people, when it came out, they're like, "Oh, it's not 50 or 100 watts. I don't like it." It's like, yeah, but you run it into a cab and you listen to the cab on stage, and you just take the DI output, and you're done. And the effects loop's like way better than the effects loop on my hot rod. And the purple mode sounds a lot like the overdrive mode on the hot rod. So yeah, and it's got like a low gain, sort of like the green mode is just for the clean channel, but then there's this blue mode for the gain channels, which is great. It's just like very martially. I was chatting to a friend of the podcast, Michael Nielsen, about it, and we both were like, yeah, the blue mode's surprisingly really, really good.
Okay. I think I watched both of your videos on that, but maybe I might have been half asleep when I was doing it, so I apologize for that.
No, it's killer, man. It's like it's one of those things where you have I'd put the Friedman IRX in that category, even though it's not an amp, but, it's an amp replacement thing, kind of similar to the Synergy thing as well. Again, there's knobs, there's IRs. You don't have to think too hard. It sounds really good. So yeah, either of those. I like the Astro because Soldano, and I kind of like that sound a little bit more. But the IRX is great as well. So that'd be the first thing that comes to mind for. Yeah,
the IRX. I think from in one of the the Dave streams that I watched, I think he was saying that and the Friedman B E Deluxe Synergy module are basically the exact same thing.
Interesting.
Different. I mean,
that's kind of cool.
I think they've got a couple of different features, but essentially they're the same, which is not surprising because I did see you can see what a Synergy module looks like as soon as you take the thing out. There was a internal gut shot that I saw of the IRX not long after it came out, and I was like, man, that looks similar. Like I just kind of I'm not sure what it was on it, or I just kind of went, man, it sort of reminds me of a Synergy module. So, and of course, there probably wouldn't be that much difference in size. Just like the IRX, that's on my list of things to try out. I think that's a really cool unit. Like, there's a couple of pedals in that category that came out this year that we've spoken about them over the course of the year, and they're definitely on my list to try out / buy because I think they'll just tick some boxes. So that's probably top because is that like knobs. The IR thing is just like, I hope this is the point when people just start throwing IR loaders in everything.
Yeah, just do it.
I wish the Synergy had that. Like they're teasing something is going to change, and I'm not sure what that's going to be. But if it's IR, it's like for cabinets or for power amps, I'm not sure. But,
man, if they just do a Syn 2 or a Syn 1 that has the power amp sim and IR loader from the IRX, that'll be a massive ease of use thing on there. Because the analog cab sims are analog cab sims. They're fine.
It's
but
actually good. I mean,
it is.
It's not anything to write home about, but I've used it for gigs a few times, and it was great. Like and using it for ears as well as just going to pump up the sound a bit for front of house. Like it's actually very, very usable. But yeah, the IR thing, like if you're gonna do a recording, just man, like to have that sitting on your desktop and then change between like a million different modules, like bam, bam, bam. What a great idea!
That's a $1 million idea sitting on there, Troy. So yeah, let's obviously then the other. I know we're going to do one and one of amps, but I think the best amp that I tried this year, and it had the coolest features and just sort of everything. And I'm sure you'll be in agreement.
DSL. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. The what's it called? The PV Bandit reissue that never came. The Headfirst ALTA, that's the beast. That's king of the hill.
The first thing we discussed on this podcast when we kicked off.
There you go. So people can go and watch my video or Jason's videos, but yeah, it's so good.
It's so good. Because you remember the first time we recorded, I'm pretty sure it was the first time we recorded a podcast. The only one I believe we did in person.
Right.
Where we shot it at the studio here, and I think we had that behind us because you'd come around, and we were just having a bit of a playthrough with it. But it was wicked, man. It's kind of everything you want, from a clean sound, from a dirty sound, from all the features. It's like, man, he did such a great job with that amp, and Jason is such a legend too. So I mean, yeah. I'm very glad he's getting some recognition. I think he definitely deserves it.
Yeah. And, it's like it's got MIDI. You can Jose mod it, the bright cap. All that stuff is switchable on there with MIDI, which is absolutely brilliant. And the sounds as well. I mean, it's got that kind of, its own take on the modded Marshall thing. And it was fucking loud. Proper 100-watt kill things if you're too close to it loud out of a cab, hey?
Yeah, but also not so ridiculously heavy, if I remember correctly. It wasn't like a diesel VH4 sort of weight and size. So, yeah, or even like a Marshall. I think it was smaller than a Marshall head shell. So it's like, man, it's so good. That's on the list. That's on the extended, not even the extended, that's on the short list of when I'm ready to buy another amp, Jason's getting the phone call,
Yeah. I'll also give a shout out to Achilles amps. I tried their Argos.
Oh, yeah.
Their one's sort of like more a JTM 45, one's more like a 50-watt Plexi, and they were really, really good as well. And the extra little options on there, the bright cap options, and you can defeat the tone stack in there, which was kind of cool. It had and the build quality was just insane. I really want to try. They've got a Fender Deluxe style amp and then a Vibroverb style amp they've got some in stock here at Mega, I think, so I need to find a time to go down and grab them. But they're kind of not uncommon, which is cool. I think they've got them at the Rock Inn, maybe just down the road from here, from my place. I'm really keen to try the Deluxe as well, because I thought about getting a head shell for my Deluxe. And then I was messaging Labros at Achilles, and I was like, you could make something like this, right? And he was like, I could, but then I could also just make you a head. So, why just get the head shell? So that might be something in the new year that
buy the cow and you can get the milk for free. I don't know.
Why buy the? Hang on, let's. I don't know how that one goes. So yeah, I reckon that kind of. Oh, and Synergy put out the 6505 module, which is a really good 5150 tone as well. Like, yeah, I didn't try that much in the new amp category, but I feel like everything I tried was really fucking good.
Yeah, in terms of amps, like I've serviced like 5 or 6 of my amps this year, which has been awesome. Everything you see behind you is functional now, which was not the case earlier this year, and in fact, has not been the case for several years. Where it may have been okay, and I may have been able to use it, but was it actually operational at 100%? Probably not. So, I mean, the top of the pile of my amps, my thumb is on there right now, is the Headfirst modded Marshall.
Oh yeah, and you got your Marshall sorted out and modded as well. That's actually the best amp I played all year. Period.
Yeah, that thing is
done. That's the best.
Good. I was playing it last week as I was trying to get some noise, and I just got distracted of like just ripping licks. It was wicked. It's so much fun to play. I still don't know if I'll take it out for a gig, just because I like to. It's pretty beaten up. I probably need to put some dents in it. I just can't. There's just no gigs that it's appropriate to take to.
Exactly.
Are we doing the hen, by the way? And is that locked
in?
I
think so.
Cool. I'll take it to the hen. We'll
that'll be appropriate for that gig.
For a acoustic duo gig.
Just put it on the other side of the field.
Yeah, and it might be almost okay, not too loud. But anyway, I've been lucky because I've been using that amp for everything. It's been like the go-to amp for every session, every track I've tried. In fact, in fact 4 amps in a row, starting with the Mesa.
Yeah.
Why can't I do this? The dual rectifier got completely retubed. That's sounding better than it ever has. So thank you, Etric, for that. Dave Fife did the 5150. Oh my God, that way. The 5150. That's all good to go now because I had a broken presence pot. Tried that yesterday. That sounded great. The Matchless has been the Cherrytone Matchless DC30 clone has been a revelation. That's been used on everything because just great sounding amp. And then the Headfirst. So and the AC30, which is also in there somewhere. That's all operational again. So it's just been awesome, man. Like having your gear work and just falling in love with the amps again. And
I've been watching all of Lyle Psionic Audio's AC30 restorations, and it's been so nice. Like it's like, look, he obviously does amazing work, but like his voice is so pleasant to listen to.
Yeah,
just him really servicing an amp and talking through it. It's just like this is really enjoyable.
And like, let me recommend his live stream with Jason because that was really awesome. He seems like a really cool guy, so I liked that one a lot. So yeah, in terms of amps, man, like other amps, I think that pretty much cuts it for me. I've been super lucky to try a lot of stuff this year and have a lot of stuff working. So
you got amps. You need things to put into amps. We should just cut straight to the chase and talk about guitars. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well. I guess for me, guitar-wise, there's only been one that's kind of come into my life a little bit, and that's my 335, which it got plecked and it got refretted and everything earlier this year. Tim at Williams Guitars, who does the best work, and in fact, I had my students here yesterday, and one of them grabbed that guitar and was like, "This is the best guitar I've ever played." I'm like, I know, it's great.
No, his stuff's amazing.
In fact, right before we started this podcast today, the original owner of that guitar just happened to pop in.
Yep.
And he said g'day to Leon before he wanted to go get some lunch. But that guitar's wicked, man. Like, you've played it. It's you have played it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been using that quite a bit. I don't know if I like gigging with it so much for the rock thing, just because I'm not as comfortable on it for that. But and using it in the studio and just playing it has been really, really great, man. I've needed a 335. Like, I didn't want to get a knockoff. It was just nice to get a real one.
Yeah.
So, but otherwise, I've had guitars on the list to buy, but I probably bought a couple more guitars last year. This year, it's pretty much all about that one. So what about you,
mate? People who are tuning in know exactly what it is. Like, it's the best guitar I own, the DGT that I have. But, I mean, that just goes without saying. The end, move along. The SE DGT, I think, is actually, for a value proposition and in terms of what they were able to achieve with that guitar, probably the best piece of gear that I think was released in 2023.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really good, man. Although I have the SE Swamp Ash Special here as well. Borrowing one at the moment. That is also really, really good. And it makes me want to get a bolt-on neck PRS. It's just a different vibe. Like, I think I want to get a CE24 now.
Yeah. I've had a bit of a hard on for those the last maybe 2 years. They come up as well. There was a reddish purplish one for about $2,500 a week or two ago.
I saw that one. Yeah.
It's been up for sale a couple of times.
John Brown. His influence comes upon us all. He's got a CE24 and he makes me want one.
There you go. I was going to say there was a black swamp ash hanging around Perth for years.
Man, right?
I reckon everybody, not everybody, but if you're in Perth and you know who you are, you've had that guitar. It's just done the rounds.
Did Brennan have it?
Maybe.
I feel like he did.
He might listen to this and tell us, but I reckon it went around. It was a cool looking guitar. I sort of, I'm a bit like, I have a threshold of what I'm willing to just drop money on willy nilly, and it's about $1,500. So anything above that, I really think about it.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. It's sort of like, unless it's, there's an original JCM 800 or a Boogie Mark series or like something like that. It's, there's certain things, but the novelty aspect of it. But the SE DGT comes in at that price point basically. And, I've spoken about it before, but it's like the neck is different to the core that I've got. Like the core is a slightly slimmer, less wide neck. The SE DGT actually feels a whole lot like my McCarty, but it's got big frets. The pickups sound great. The playability is awesome. I had to tweak one thing on it, which was just and it was actually really easy. The saddle height on the D string, I was like, it's the nut is not cut properly. But actually, I just lowered the saddle height in the D string. It's kind of fixed it up and intoned it and, gigged it already. And it's amazing. And the Swamp Ash, it's actually probably, the fit and finish on it is probably even better than that one. But they don't feel like, and you could argue that they're not cheap guitars anymore, but like they don't have that thing that like the really early SE stuff or that like a lot of Epiphones have where it's like plasticky.
Plasticky, I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah,
lacquer,
it's like
something in the lacquer, I guess. I don't know. It just feels like a toy.
Yeah, and I mean the Swamp Ash has a matte finish maple neck, which is sick. Feels so nice. So yeah, I think they're absolutely smashing it. And the other one, which is pretty cool. I had the guitar previously, but then I sent it back and they refurbished it. So it's basically like a new guitar. It's a Rubato Lassie, which I've done some videos with. I've gigged that quite a bit and put it in a gig bag and flown with it, and it's arrived perfectly in tune. So it's kind of indestructible. And we've already got some flight stuff for the first couple of months next year that we're doing. So it's just nice knowing I can just chuck that in a case and I'm sorted. Like it takes the very slight amount of anxiety out of flying with a wooden guitar. And it sounds great. It's so easy to play.
Would you rather have the Rubato Lassie or the equivalent cash in Mango Lassies?
Oh, mate. The equivalent cash in Mango Lassies is...
Oh, sorry. Amount of Mango Lassies, not cash.
I feel like you could have a bath in that many Mango Lassies.
You could.
And, that would rejuvenate you, and, maybe you'd have to have a few trips to the doctor, a few weeks afterwards with certain things in certain places, but... Yeah,
people have milk baths, or like they don't have it for fun necessarily. But people have a milk bath.
Yeah,
would you have a sip of that milk if you've been sitting in it? Or let me rephrase it. How long past you sitting in the bath of milk? Let's just assume it's a cold room, so the milk is still cold.
The milk's still cold.
1 minute. Are you drinking that milk or not?
I don't think if I've sat in it, I want to drink the milk.
Okay, you've had a shower before the milk bath. 1 minute.
Mate, I'm a very, very hairy
$500
man.
$500.
Make it $5,000.
$5,000?
And then also delete this conversation from the internet, and I'll think about it. What about for you? $200?
Yeah, go on. $200 to drink some milk after a minute. That's fine.
A teaspoon of milk. I mean, it's a pretty good deal, isn't it?
That's a good deal. You're a hygienic man, Leon. You're not a stinky man, so
Well, some would beg to differ, Troy. Depends on the time of day. But let's move right along from this very wholesome discussion. Tune into onlyfans.com if you want to buy some of Troy's bath milk coming up. Oh my goodness. That'll be funding the podcast.
Leon's subscriptions have just halved in the last 10 minutes. It's great.
The other thing that was super cool as well, and again, I want to give them a shout out, and I do a video coming with this, the Ulbrick noise reduction system. I put it in my Strat.
Oh, okay.
It reduces noise in single coil guitars, and they still sound like single coil guitars.
Were you telling me about this or was someone else?
I was, yeah. We talked about it the pod before last or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's, it fits in the cavity. It's non-intrusive, especially like playing here a lot of the time with a computer monitor, like you just get a lot of noise through single coils. And I did a gig with Jada maybe the end of last year at Mojo's. Mm-hmm. And man, it's like I couldn't play that guitar. It was just like every position on there was just, there was some issue in the room where it was just the worst buzz you've ever heard, which is a shame because that's like a keyboard player gig. And Strats work well with keyboard players. That's why Blackmore played a Strat, kids. So yeah, I'll give them a shout out as well. That was pretty sick. And yeah, guitars, pedals. Let's keep going. Well, let's keep absolutely plowing through this, mate, because lots of stuff. I mean, you've got your James Lugo approved pedal board riser next to you, which I think is pretty rad.
Pretty happy with that. That was a really good idea. He doesn't do this exactly because I bought a cart for it. This is an on-stage. I don't know if I can lift it up. I kind of hurt my back today putting my daughter in the car, so I'll see if I can lift him up. Oh yeah, that's about as far as it's going to go. It's an on-stage rolling rack. With a rock board 4.1, which fits perfectly on the top of it, and it's got like a place to hang your cables on the bottom, so that's awesome. And yeah, it's just awesome to have pedals when you do the stuff that I'm doing, where it's just you don't want to have to reach down to the ground to tweak something. You just want it to be convenient. And then it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with this thing anymore. I'll just roll it out of the way, no problem. It's it's good and easy. But this little board, it's a bit in pieces at the moment because partly the noise Odyssey that I went on, I was trying to work out if anything was causing some noise. But I've also got some other pedals to try out. So I think I had it set up for 5. I have it set up for 5 or maybe 6 like pedals, like a few drives and whatnot. And I might have less than that just so I've got more spots to throw things in to move around. So yeah, man, it's really convenient to have it. I guess I've tried a few more pedals this year. I don't know if I've really bought anything yet, but we're at the end of the year. I guess I'm like, Lugo was pretty inspirational with some of this stuff. Not just that, but also just trying out some of the Strymons, which, I mean, that's not new. Everyone knows about like Strymon Mobius and El Capistans and Flints and stuff. But I don't know. I guess so much of those effects I'm just used to adding them in Pro Tools, so I don't think about it.
Yeah.
And my brain doesn't go to effects when I play guitar. I'm a bit more just plug into an amp and then I'll just play a song.
But it's a vibe, hey. Like tracking with effects on, and it's different.
It makes you play differently. The tone is different running into an amp than post an amp. There's like a million reasons to do these things. There's also reasons not to do it, but yeah, it's just, I think the experimentation more than anything else has been interesting to me. It's like that part of the journey.
Yeah.
I think I go on a lot of obsessions and different journeys. And so some stuff that everybody and their dog has done when they're like 20, I just get to when I'm 35. So
yeah, exactly.
So that's been really cool. Yeah. And in terms of pedals, like probably the one that I'm most excited about is the Motherload, the Crazy Tube
Circuits.
Been using that quite a bit for sessions, and as I've been getting into muffs as well, it's been really cool.
Bit of a rat, bit of a muff, bit of a hybrid thing on there. They do great stuff, man. Like anytime they come out with a new pedal, I'm always super impressed. Like they did that high watt color sound.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah,
thing. Yeah, for the Gilmore thing, which is really really good. And they did the Sidekick as well. The sort of like, it's a standard, whatever you call that Hammond enclosure thing, like standard pedal size basically, but it's got reverb and delay and modulation in there.
Yep.
Which is awesome. Like just, you want you want a thing that can do some stuff on a pedal board, and you don't want to like shell out for a dedicated reverb or delay. It does it, and it does it really, really well. The TC2290 pedal.
Oh, man, I really want to try that.
I was a bit skeptical. I thought it was just like, I kept calling it 2290 cosplay. Like it's just going to be the flashback with buttons. But comparing it to the Rack, man, they nailed it. It's really, really good. And it's really inspiring to actually press the buttons. Once you know how to use it, it's pretty sick. And having subdivisions via tap tempo, imminently more usable.
I didn't watch your video on it when it first came out, but because one came up for sale the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, I might just quickly check it out. And obviously your video is the first one that comes up, or one of the first ones. And it sounded so good, like so good in stereo as well.
Yeah, the chorus and flanger sounds out of it are great too. Like it's a pretty good utility pedal. Boss also did their SDE reissue, and they did the EVH version, which was really cool too. I like with the Boss, because the Eddie thing was using 2 SDEs for a left and right delay. The Boss, rather than just like put it out as, we just reissued it with buttons, it's a proper dual delay, and you can route them in parallel or in series, and there's ping pong modes, and you can they took the original template and they got sort of the workflow the same, but then they added loads of new features. So it's not redundant if you have the racks. Like I think it works really, really well. And the 2290 doesn't quite do that, but they added tap tempo subdivisions, stereo inputs. There's a bunch of nice improvements on there as well. So I think both of those deserve a shout. Boss did the DM101, all analog programmable delay with multi modes, pretty great. The IR2 as well, the little it's a Boss pedal size amp simulator, licensed to print money, and it sounds it's not going to make you want to sell your Axe effects or your Helix or anything, but those sounds are solid, and it's got 2 modes and the stereo effects loop, and it's well priced as well. So
but
Boss done good.
Yeah, the Opus as well. In that same category. Between that, so the Boss, the 2 Notes Opus, the Friedman IRX, they're all different, obviously, but there's you can do anything. All of the UAD ones as well, the amp in a box type things, or not even amp in a box.
I still really want to try the Lion, the Marshall one.
Yeah,
that seems right up my alley. The Vox one's really good as well. So and especially the UA stuff, there's stereo in and out. So if you're someone who runs 2 amps, or you've got a stereo board and you like your effects before the amp, you can run it that way. It's sort of non-intrusive. You mentioned some Strymon stuff. I didn't realize the Cloudburst came out at the start of this year. Okay. So I think that one has to go in there because it sounds beautiful, and it does something that none of their other reverb pedals do. But also it's really small, and it's stereo in and out with TRS MIDI. And they have the Brig as well, which I've got, and the Ultraviolet, which is the Univibe one. That form factor is great in my opinion, and the prices are slightly lower, and they cram a lot of functionality into a really, really small space, and I'm looking forward to what else they do with that form factor. It's kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah, that's cool, man. The Brig one, that's on your board at the moment. Hey, your little delay board.
Yeah. I'll next time I come around, next time I see, I'll bring it around and try it out, because it sounds like a great analog delay, but it's stereo and it's not noisy.
Yep. No,
so they're killing it as always. Also, I must mention PastFX for always doing great stuff. But their 80A flanger reissue called the 80A. It just made me so happy. I've always wanted an 80A flanger, and now they make it in a tiny format, and it's they do a pedal called the Elastic Mattress, which is still it's my favorite flanger easily. It might be my favorite modulation pedal ever, which is a big call. But the 80A, it's got a different thing going on. And they also did a pedal called the New Division, which is the Electro Harmonics clone theory. So if you're into Joy Division and New Order, it's the one Peter Hook used. So lots of people, it's kind of crusty. they're basically doing electro harmonics better than electro harmonics do, because EHX do cool stuff, but also, they build to a price point, so corners are cut. And the PastFX stuff, if you're in America, the American dollar is pretty good against the Australian dollar at the moment, and the PastFX stuff is priced well in Australian dollars, and once you convert it, it's a steal. And Verli has loaned me lots of gear over the last year or two as well, which has made it on the channel. So, yeah, they've just got this, like, incredible vintage gear collection. So, yeah, the ADA, and I'm very much looking forward to what they come out with next. Sick stuff. It's like them, Crazy Tube Circuits. There's a few other builders in Greece, actually, VS Audio and Jam Pedals. And I got a Microcosm as well, the hologram, which is a thing. Very much a thing.
We spoke about that a few weeks ago, hey.
Yeah. And they've got the Chroma console, which is a new thing, which I want to try as well. So, yeah, there's some good stuff coming out, man. Some good people making good gear. What we should talk about while we have a few minutes is, I'll just mention as well, like, Fractal came out with the FM3 Turbo, so it's more powerful, and it has the big scribble strips on it, which I've done some gigs with, which has been awesome. I have pitch detune on everything and not worry about it. Line 6 did the 3.7 update as well, which is... Have you upgraded your Stomp yet?
Don't think I did that yet.
Yeah, because it's a really good JCM 800 and a really good basement, and then a few original models in there, which it's worth doing.
Came out in the last month or two, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't done that one yet.
There's a Nobles ODR1 in there, which sounds sick. Right. Yeah, good stuff. The Quad Cortex got a software editor, which I still need to do a video with that. And Fractal, like, have been going mental with the reverb and amp updates, and like the Axifx 3 is just strength to strength. And they did Dynacabs this year as well, which a lot of people have been asking about. So
I saw they put something up about, like, some Dynacab, like a pack of Dynacabs that just came out today.
For right? Cab Lab, yeah, correct. Right. The AC30 ones, it's a really good AC30 cab. I think they're the it's like an old JMI, like 63 Vox cab or something. So yeah, I need to do a demo with that stuff. And Cab Lab's a free plugin now as well, which is kind of cool. For studio stuff and plugins in particular, what tickled your fancy, mate? Because there was one that's a real standout, which is probably like the second. It's number 2 on my list of the best gear, and it's kind of new, but it's also kind of not. But I'll let you go first.
Wait, say what it is, because I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
Oh, it's Ozone 11.
Ozone 11. Yeah, that's not a me one. That's a you one, because I didn't get it this year. But
that's a me one. So yeah, it's just sick. I obviously like to include kind of little demo songs in my videos. So you just use the AI mastering thing, and it's like at least as good as what I can do, probably better, and takes 45 seconds, if you have a reference. It's kind of magic. And then also, like, I use the Isotope stuff for my vocal mic, so it's on every single video. They're in that, they're just a utility for me. Their stuff's so handy, their noise reduction stuff and some of the analysis stuff, it's amazing. So yeah.
Burping. I'm just held gassy over here. Sorry, everybody.
That's all right.
Just straight to the microphone, straight into your ears. Isotope is Isotope is so awesome. It's a shame it's as expensive as it is. It kind of deserves to be, because it's really powerful. But like, for example, I did a session on Sunday, which is kind of a demo thing, and typically I don't put a vocalist in the same room as a band, like if everyone's just tracking something live, because the amount of spill in a vocal mic in that situation is very difficult to manage, like particularly for like cymbals and drum spill and stuff. However, if you happen to have RX standard, I think even it's like whatever the first like proper tier is, there's a thing in there called music rebalance, which is not new, but you can just I use that on this demo, and I didn't completely remove the drum spill, but I removed it by about probably 10 dB, and it's like absolute magic. It's like it's like it's not there. Like, you could get rid of it completely, but I just need to bring it down. Which, it doesn't seem that big of a deal, but like, you remember, like, okay, this is not the only time I've done this, but like Leon in 2011, you guys did that live thing at the Rosemount. Yep. So live recordings, singer standing in front of a drum kit, you get so much cymbal spill in the vocal mic because the proximity of the vocal to the drum, the vocal mic to the drum kit is not that far and pointed directly at it. So I remember, again, not the only time I've had to do this, but on that one, between every word, I had to automate the drum kit down.
Yep.
So it's just like manually just going through and pulling it down by enough to where it wasn't an issue anymore. You can't use gates because the spill is too inconsistent. You can't do stuff with side chaining and dynamic EQ because it just doesn't really solve the problem. However, this is just to like throw the thing on hit process and then you're laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, that's to pump up for Isotope, man. Like that's not news, but any noise reduction stuff that they do is amazing. I know if you're a Pro Tools user, they are incorporating the RX, some of the RX tools into the ARA thing.
Yeah.
That's whenever that updated Pro Tools comes out, which is probably due to be in the next week or something. That's going to be really, really useful because like I use, they've got this tool called Spectral Repair. Have you got that?
Yep.
Have you seen that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's so good.
For those of you unaware, like if you have a sound in an audio recording that you don't want, like if it's a click or a pop, it's like you can manually go through and find every single one of those sounds, highlight it, and then hit process, and it just removes that. But it leaves everything else around it sounding identical. So it's like actual magic. The first time I really had to use that was like 13 years ago when I had like stupidly had the click in someone's headphones too loud, like the metronome sound.
And it was,
So I had to go through on a vocal mic and a guitar mic and manually remove the like on like all those mics for about 5 songs, which took hours. But once I did that, you couldn't tell the click was there, so it works. But anyway, that will come in like partially come into Pro Tools as standard, which is going to be amazing. So
very nice.
Due to come out December.
Speaking of other things that aren't new, you're all about the Melodyne, are you?
Oh man, I'm Mr. Melodyne now. It's crazy. I sort of resisted for a long time because I've been a stalwart of autotune. But again, having what's different is Melodyne is incorporated into Pro Tools now so much more efficiently than autotune is. It makes it almost stupid not to try it. There's still situations where autotune is really useful and really necessary. But the graphic mode of autotune that I've used for lead vocals and stuff for for years and years, I've eliminated that and I just use Melodyne now. So I use the free version of Melodyne that comes with Pro Tools, which is I think their essentials or the elements or whatever they call. I think it's
totally fine. That's great.
It's awesome. Like I used that for 12 months before I ponied up and like only like a month ago I did the paid version of it.
Yep.
And the paid version is definitely better, unfortunately, but it's a few $100 and it's not. I'm always hesitant just to tell people like to go drop money on software and gear and stuff like when they don't need it because like I need it because I use it all the time. But if it's like a one-off job, then some of this stuff ends up being kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But that was worth a few $100s to upgrade.
One of my students who's got an FM3 is like, I just want to record some demos that I've got. What should I do? I'm not shy to spend a bit of money, and I was like, get Superior Drummer, get Ozone, done. Don't think, don't worry about anything. Just find a stock kit that you like. Just use the auto mastering thing in Ozone. You can learn all this stuff later as you go. If you just want to like track riffs and have them sound sick and send them to your mates, and you don't mind spending a bit of money, just do this, And yeah, the stuff he's been sending is like, I wrote a tune. Sounds incredible. It's just like, man, compare this to the demos I was making on my Boss BR1600 CD when we first met, and it's a different universe. So
across the Zodiac.
Yeah. I think I can still remember how to play that and those arpeggios in there. Remember the arpeggios in Never Before?
Oh, Never Before. I forgot all about that song. On your live stream the other night, what was that, Sunday night or Saturday night? I can't remember.
Yep.
Sunday night. Because I just crashed and I just started talking about myself, as always. But I made reference. I was like, oh, Leon, play the song The Feeling. Which you did play that, didn't you? Yeah.
I did, yep.
But I remember there was like, 9 songs or something? Or 8 songs on the original album?
8 songs, I think, yeah.
8 songs. 4 of them got re-recorded, or vocals got re-recorded for the first EP in like 2011. And then I remember there was like 4 other songs, but I could not remember that one. It was that there was Slip Slip, Pizza Box, and then something else.
And Slip Slip is on the Live at the Rosemount recording, which is now on Spotify. So there you go.
So anyway, I don't.
And
the pitches in that song.
Heat of the Night became Love on the Run.
Heat of the Night. Oh man,
there you go.
What a time.
What a time to be alive, Troy. Yeah, man. Like what else?
I've been rocking the new Fabfilter reverb.
Yep, same here. Cool. That's great.
I don't know if it's going to replace everything that I already do. I'm just like such a sucker for a good demo video, and bloody damn Worrell, man. Like he released that demo and it sounded so good. And I just had when I listen for reverb, and it's something I try and explain as well. It's like as you turn the reverb up on a channel, like imagine like you're not just hearing it sound glorious and big and stuff, but you're just imagining like where it's being placed in a certain space. Like as you turn it up, does it feel like the sound is actually like getting further away from you? When you turn it down, does it feel like it's getting close to you?
Yes.
Imagine that. Like just you have to kind of put yourself in the frame of mind to do that. It may not be intuitive. It certainly wasn't for me. But if I just go like, okay, as it turns up, this person or this guitar all of a sudden has been pushed back. So that was a thing within the Fabfilter. What is it? Pro-R2, because it's got like a distance control, which is really cool. And so you can do it with that, and then the brightness, and like there's a lot of really cool stuff in that. But it's kind of like all the Fabfilter stuff where the surface level is great and the presets are cool, but there's a lot under the hood that I haven't explored yet, and it's probably going to take me a little while to do that. I didn't really get that into Timeless. Like I use that, and I still use that a bit.
Man, I use Timeless all the time, so to speak. It's like if I track something, I'm like, I just want a bit of delay. I generally use that before I use Echo Boy. And, if I can't get what I want, then I just use Echo Boy. They're like literally the only 2 delay plugins I own.
Right. I will say just quickly, my favorite reverb, like pretty much all year, has been the Sunset Sound one, the IK Multi.
Yeah, right.
Like it's amazing. Like I used it. Well, not just I used it again yesterday. I've used it on everything. In terms of that thing of like, as you push the reverb up, does it feel like it's in space? I do that with the Studio 1 to 3 like live room things,
right?
And it just feels like you're there, or like
that's so good.
Put the guitar somewhere, so it's really great for that. It doesn't sound like, that setting isn't a big lush reverb like sexy reverb. It just is like real, and I think it does that really well. So that reverb's been the Fabfilter reverb I've used a lot this year, but and also I guess it's hard. There's some stuff that I think like over the last maybe 18 months, I've bought a few plugins that have been really cool, but I reckon recently just upgrading the Melodyne and getting onto that Fabfilter reverb has been the main thing for me.
They're the closest things to life changing.
Sorry, one more actually. I did forget. I bought that Kazrog True Iron transformer emulation thing. That's very, very, very cool.
Kazrog do really good stuff.
Yeah. And I guess it's like there's a thing when I mix stuff, and I don't know if it's that successful when I do it, but it's always trying to get stuff to sound like a bit more real. It's not a much other way of saying it. It's not clear and it's not like big. It's just like, does it feel like it's a bit more tangible?
Yeah.
You can't really describe that without hearing the sound. And like just a pure sound comes into Pro Tools and then goes out to your speakers. Things can feel a bit flat and not dynamic. And I don't know why that is, and I don't know what it is that some of these saturation plugins do to make it sound more like 3-dimensional or whatever, but the Kazrog one sort of does that. It just gives it a bit more like realness to me, and
it's more good
thickness and fullness too, which is kind of what Transformers sort of what they do sonically.
Yeah.
So that plugin's been really good, and it's not too expensive either.
That's it. All right, mate. Well, with that, we should wrap it. That's our best gear of 2023. You can all let us know in the comment section below what your favorite piece of gear was. What did you buy? What are you looking forward to in 2024? And of course, thank you for supporting the Gear Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe. And Troy's milk bath water will be available on OnlyFans coming right up.
Yeah, bottled milk water. Yum.
Yum, yum.
All right. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you next week, eh?
See you guys. Take it easy.